into the forest. I'm just saying, if we all dead and they see this camera in my hand, they might make a movie.
That's another one of those spiders.
Oh, I didn't want to step on nothing.
You almost did.
I don't want to step on like a lizard or something.
I'm gonna stop right here a minute and talk to you about something that most people don't think about.
Okay, never mind.
We mentioned the fact that when you're in the forest, the rain comes down and soaks into the ground and moves through the ground and goes to the water and comes up as a little spring or something. I'll show you a place where that happens occasionally right over here. But what I want to say right now is when the rain comes down, it actually, when it moves through the soil, there's a lot of activity that goes on that depends on that physical process taking place. And most of us, we think about the soil, we think about that, you know, that's the dirt. That's where when things die and rot, they just turn into dirt, right? But the reality is that the earth, the top 3 or 4 feet of soil, what really is good soil, we call topsoil, is actually nature's recycling bin. And what goes on down here is fundamental and essential for life to take place and be maintained over time. Now, if you look out here, all these producers, all these plants that are growing out here are actually manufacturing the material you see, all the wood and leaves and plant flowers and everything you see out there is essentially made, 98% of it comes from air and water. That's what green leaves do, don't they? They take, that green leaf gets sunshine energy on the surface of the leaf, and the green stuff in there is able to absorb and capture that energy and rip apart molecules of water and put that together with carbon dioxide and manufacture sugar, and that then becomes the raw material from which everything else out there gets made. To complete the process, it needs a little bit of nutrients from the ground, like nitrates and phosphates and a little bit of sodium, potassium, magnesium, sulfur, copper, some of those things, but very, very tiny amounts of that. 98% of it is made out of nothing more than air and water.
Oh my God.
Now, when it dies and falls to the ground, it begins to decay, right? What makes all this stuff decay? Does anybody have any idea?
Dang, daddy long legs right there.
No, water is important for the process to happen. Everybody wants to look at this little guy right here.
Daddy long legs.
Yep.
Algae.
There you go. Algae does not make decay. That's a different species of granddaddy longlegs than we had a while ago.
Is it bacteria?
But granddaddy longlegs are not spiders, and they're totally harmless to you.
So they can't bite.
And they eat the extremely tiny little guys that crawl around on the ground.
The bacteria.
Now let's look at this thing here. This used to be
Jumping. What is that jumping?
It ain't nothing but the spider.
cricket. It could be a leaf hopper. Who knows? A lot of things. But this used to be solid, hard wood. Now
Dang.
it isn't very solid, is it? What changes it from being wood into being this rotten stuff?
The
Water.
The water.
Bacteria.
Close, but not right. What are the 3 main groups of functional organisms? We have producers,
Consumers and decomposers. Decomposers.
What are
Decomposers.
the 2 groups of decomposers?
Algae and wait.
Bacteria is one. What's the other one?
Prokaryotes? Eukaryote? Wait. Prokaryote.
Fungi.
What? Oh.
Now you
fungus.
see all these little white lines growing through there and that white powdery looking stuff there?
Yeah.
Those are called fungal hyphae. And fungi are responsible for 99% of the breakdown, the decay of what's going on out here. And they take the cellulose in the wood and they secrete some chemicals into it, the cellulose, the lignins, the resins that are created in this wood, and they secrete chemicals that turns it back into a liquid, and then they absorb that in those little threads, and that's basically what they eat. they're what we call saprotrophs. They eat sap. They turn the wood into wood soup, they suck it in, and that's what they use for their energy supply. In the process of doing that, the cellulose structure of the wood gets completely broken down, and you get this kind of stuff here. Now, since fungi work primarily on the surface and bacteria totally on the surface of things, this process is aided along by a lot of very, very tiny animals like little springtails, little mites. There's a lot of tiny little things in the forest that feed on this dead material as well, and they also feed on some of the sugars and things released by the fungi. And that increases the surface area and accelerates the process. Termites are famous for doing that. But 99% of the decay process that turns this wood into rotten wood is actually caused by fungi. And we will see some mushrooms if we start looking around that are the fruiting bodies of the fungi, a lot of the fungi that do this. Now, something else that's kind of interesting about this, I don't know if I can accomplish this or not, but I'm going to try, is that if all of this stuff originally was made out of air and water, what's it got to turn back into?
Air and water.
Air and water.
Good.
And so there should be water in this old dead wood, shouldn't there?
Yeah. It is. Watch this quick. Don't strain yourself, please.
So it takes a little bit of effort to get it out, but there is water that is made from the breakdown of this material. I just squeezed the bug to death.